Were you abused as a child? Have you picked the wrong partner over and over and over again? Did you drop out of school, or did your college education that you were told that you had to get wasn't supporting you, or is not something that you'd like to do, and now you're just waiting, not just, but you're just choosing to wait tables and perhaps maybe not make ends meet. You now have a huge bill for college, and there's so many things. Are you dealing with alcoholism, drug abuse? Are you dealing with gambling addictions? Uh, who's to blame? Why do you do what you do? How was it that that became a part of who you are? Now, this class today is not to shame or blame or do anything. It's just as an awareness as to what we do that keep us small, that keep us in a place where we don't want to be. So, if you're stuck in the blame game and whose fault it is and pointing fingers and not realizing there's three pointing back at you, then you will probably never realize that circumstances are what they are to teach us lessons and to bless us. What if stopping the blame game, what if stopping the blame game could create freedom from being stuck and be able to unlock a new level of personal power that will set you free? Oh, yeah. I like that part. Will set you free. So, in today's class, I will be taking a look with you at the blame that keeps us trapped, and more importantly, how to shift from the blame game to break through. Are you ready? Let's get started. So, get out your paper and pen or pencil, whatever you like to write with, because we're going to learn and grow together.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I'm a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and I'm the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show Classroom. If you're new to the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. So, how did I come up with this topic? It just seems like there's just so much blaming in this world. There's chaos and there's disaster. And the funny thing is that people are blaming each other for the same thing, but doing it differently. Because I'm blaming you and I have the upper hand from you, I'm going to be able to see the speck in your eye without looking at the plank on my own eye. Now, this is something that we all fall into. We don't want to take ownership. We don't want to take responsibility because responsibility has a bum rap. And as you know, my registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. Once again, I will add, it's not that I'm against the pill. I am for doing whatever it takes without having to take the pill. So if nutrition or not drinking or staying away from the gambling areas or not smoking, whatever, if that is what you're focusing on the wrong thing because the brain doesn't know the difference between do and don't. So we need to focus on what we want, which is to be free of addiction, to be happy, to be prosperous, to be living the life of our dreams, right? That's what we want. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I pray and I hope that I'll be able to share some things that maybe will make you go, I never thought of that before. Maybe she's onto something. Maybe there's something I can do. So who do you blame for your life? Many of us, and as a coach, I've heard this over and over again. My mom did not give me the love I wanted. My dad abused me, or vice versa. They were alcoholics. I never had anyone to guide me. And that's the reason I am the way I am. And those are the reasons or excuses that we use to justify our behavior. But is it real? Is it real, or is it made up because we want to continue doing what we're doing? Because they've done studies of adult children of alcoholics, identical twins, adult children of alcoholics. One twin chose not to drink, the other twin became an alcoholic. And if you ask either one why they chose their path, they say, how could I not? Look at my parents. One chose what to do, and the other one chose what not to do. Regardless, your parents do the best they can with what they have. But regardless of what they do, once you become adult, once you become someone that can make decisions for yourself, please know that now you're at the driver's seat. Well, you and God are. You're the co-pilot, right? Isn't that comforting to know that you don't have to do this alone? And by the way, you have me as your friend, right? Okay. So as we look at this dilemma, it's like, how much blame can I give my parents? How much blame can I blame to my former husband or wife because they were terrible or narcissistic? I don't know how many people tell me, oh, there were narcissists. They were narcissistic. They were, and honestly, sometimes we see in others who we are. I'm not saying that everybody who's married to a narcissist that is narcissistic, or someone that keeps attracting that. I'm not saying that the person who is attracting it maybe needs to look at themselves. Well, they may need to look at their choices, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily a narcissist, because a person who's a narcissist will never come to coaching. So I know at least that the person who is coaching with me, they're not a narcissist, but it's many times they get stuck in their behavior because of their narcissist husband or wife. And so therefore I can't fight them, and I'm just going to either rebel or I'm going to comply. Either way, it's your choice and how you deal with it. So today we're going to be talking about this blame game that we see happening all over the world, and maybe how we can look at preventing it. How do we stop it? How do we acknowledge it, that we're actually doing it? But we first have to understand that this is about not wanting to take ownership and giving your power away to someone else. I drink because my father or my mother was an alcoholic, and these are hypotheticals. This is not my story, but or I have an eating disorder because, or I'm overweight because there was somebody in my life that pushed me towards that direction. But is that the direction you want to be in? So how do we shift from the what do they wanted for, what did I think they wanted for me, what I complied with, what my life became because it was easier to go through this process than to actually stand up for and have my own voice? What do I say at this point? How do I justify that path that I chose? If not, because I was victimized. Yes, you may have been victimized, but guess what? You're continuing the victimization by staying small, by honoring those contracts that you had with the people in your past that said you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're ugly, you're fat, you're dumb, all those things. And those are lies. And they're only truth if you believe them. And many of us believe them. I believed as a child that I was a lousy, good for nothing, unlovable person. Why? Because in the second grade, Mr. Torres said, that if I kept looking out the window and daydreaming, I would never amount to much. And my paternal grandmother, said to me when I wanted to quit playing the piano, said to me, Lily, if you stop playing the piano, I will stop loving you. Now, both scenarios, they were trying to motivate me. But what happened then was I believed about myself, this is the contract, that I was a lousy, good for nothing, unlovable person. So even though I didn't think that out loud, subconsciously I did it. And I honored that by picking the first time around the wrong person to marry with. But again, I could blame him for the divorce. I can blame him for not loving me the way I deserve to be loved. I can blame him for walking away from the marriage and our children. Or I can say, wow, because of that relationship, I have the most two beautiful biological children that were born in my womb versus the other children that I later were born in my heart. So that is a way to look at life where you say, okay, I can be a victim of my ex-husband who left us, who didn't love us, who didn't do all these things, or I can say, wow. Look at how I was blessed through my stupidity in choosing the wrong person, which I would never say as a coach, but this is the self-talk that some of us do. Because I always knew that this man had a purpose, even though as a result, it hurt my children and it hurt it hurt all of us. I don't know about their biological father, but he's no longer hasn't been in the picture forever. And the second man I chose in my life, I broke the pattern of picking someone who treated me unlovable, like an unlovable person. I had to be right because it's part of the ego. You make this contract. Okay, so although I don't say it to myself, I believe this about myself and I don't want to be found out. So I make these choices to continue victimizing myself. We don't do it on purpose. We do it without knowing. And so what we don't know is why we're doing these things. And I've talked about this in the past about how our brain functions and how, 90%, well, 45,000 to 75,000 thoughts a day that we have in our head, 90% are repetitive from childhood, from even before you were born in vitro, in utero. Or I can say, and I can also say that 80% of these thoughts are negative. These are things that we made up about ourselves. Now, like again, my grandmother and the second grade teacher didn't set out to make me feel less than or unlovable. They were just trying to motivate me. Now I can logically think that. But that video, that belief system that I have that has repeated in my mind over and over again, believed it without me knowing. And so I acted upon because first it's a thought, then it's a feeling, then it's an action. And so I've gone through what the brain believes, what it doesn't believe. So I will go really quickly so that we all catch up just in case this is the first time in the classroom. But I've done a lot of these videos and personal growth in my YouTube channel. If they haven't been deleted, it's in my YouTube channel or my BitChute. So these are the four things about your brain that you need to know so that you work with your brain and not against it. Your brain doesn't know fact versus fiction. It only believes what it sees. So seeing is believing. So make sure that you guard your thoughts, you guard your mind, you guard your action, what you put in. And the second is, so it doesn't know fact versus fiction. It doesn't know past versus future. It only believes it's happening now. So if you're reliving what your ex-husband did to you or what your child did to you, if you're reliving it, your brain thinks that it's happening now. It's happening again. It doesn't know that it happened in the past. And if you're digging in the past, then you're depressed. If you're focused on the future, then you are anxious. Just know these things about the brain. Don't fight it. It is what it is. The third thing is it doesn't know, did I say fact versus fiction? Yeah, I think I said fact versus fiction. do versus don't. I already said that one. And then it doesn't know past versus future. And it doesn't know who you're angry with. It assumes it's you. So there's no discernment going on in the brain unless you stop the cycle and you become aware. Does that make sense? You say, okay, I need to stop because my brain is thinking one thing. If it doesn't believe do, it doesn't recognize do versus don't, and I'm focusing on not drinking or not smoking or not overeating, then the brain doesn't know not. It honors what it focuses on. This was very hard for me to understand because I knew I was focusing on what I didn't want. But what you don't, if you focus on what you don't want, you get more of what you don't want. So keep that in mind. So what you want to do is you want to focus on what you want. I want to be sober. I want to be healthy. I want to be, instead of saying I don't want to marry an alcoholic, I want to marry a sober person. So that is a retraining of the brain that needs to happen for you to all of a sudden go, oh, wait a minute. I am reliving my victim talk. I am talking about how my parents abused me and how it's their fault I turned out the way it is. No, not anymore. Once you become an adult and once as children, yes, we are victimized. And yes, we can develop beliefs about ourselves. But once you're an adult, you've got to understand that we got to have some mentors or do some personal growth and get rid of some of the things that we believe about ourselves. That is so crucial. Because then you can start working with your brain, you're working with the repetitive stuff, and only 10% is conscious. And that's when we're learning, we're growing, we're dancing, we're doing something. Like right now, I'm in my conscious mind. I can't be thinking about what Johnny did to me or what Susie did to me or what she said to me while I'm speaking to you. I've got to be spot on, focused on what I want and what God wants to speak through my heart out of my mouth to you. And what you will hear may be something totally different, but hopefully you will hear it so that it benefits you in an immense way. So knowing all that, the blame, it's so easy to give up that power. I was talking about that it's not about blaming or not wanting to take responsibility. It's about victimizing yourself. And there's a price and a payoff to victimization. And you can get the same hormones and enzymes like in your brain that like if you're in love or working out, those oxytocin and all these wonderful hormones that are released when you're doing something that you get a benefit from, like chocolate. When you eat chocolate, it releases those hormones as well. So the price that you pay for being a victim is that you've given up your power. And now you have the power to change your life, but because you've put the blame on someone else, then you're stuck. So what do? You learn how to shift. You learn how to shift. And so we go through that in the I Am the Solution weekend workshop that we do. I go through it with coaching. We talk about it a lot when we're trying to figure out how do we get out of a pattern? How do we get out and how do we shift without blaming somebody else? Because once you start blaming, then you're not taking ownership. Your ego gets in the way, and your ego is all about edging God out, edging God out. And so it's time to rewrite. So how do you know you're in your ego? So let me tell you, I was having a conversation with someone just recently, and they misbehaved. They handled something incorrectly, and they were talking to me about it. And I said, well, aren't you going to say you're sorry? Yeah, I don't want to say I'm sorry. That's the ego. The ego wants to be right, wants to look good, in control, and comfortable. So how do we shift from our ego to our essence is the way that we shift from victim to empowered. to responsible. And I will say that responsibility has a bum rap. Responsibility is fine. I'll take the blame. I'll do it myself because no one else will do it. Shame. You know, like, oh, it's my duty. I have to do it. Duty. And yes, I said duty, but not in the same kind of duty. But that's what happens. We go through this process that is all ego driven. But with the essence, oh my goodness, you can do so much more. See, the ego comes from fear, essence comes from love and God. And if you don't believe in God, then it comes from a higher power. If you don't believe in a higher power, love is the greatest power. So we're saying kind of the same thing, but maybe a different meaning. But I'll meet you where you're at. So with that in mind, how do you get out of that shifting? How do you go from blaming everybody around you to all of a sudden saying, you know what? I am going to take ownership for my life. And that's really difficult because how do you take ownership for abuse? How do you take ownership for being molested? How do you take ownership for growing up in a family that is of alcoholics or that hurt you, or a spouse that walked away from you or cheated on you? How do you take responsibility for that? Simple. It is what it is. You chose that situation, whether it was you chose those parents because you were born into the family, or you chose the partner because you were madly in love and you didn't see the flags. Like my son, he has a great joke. One of my favorite jokes that he says is, he'd just broken up with this girl, and he said, "Well, I'm not saying she was a communist, but there were a lot of red flags." And that is something, and that's a Blake McDermott joke, I will add. And he but we see these red flags and we go, oh, we're so in love, and we chose the person. I chose my first husband, and I also chose my last husband. So I've only had two. So my first and my last. Hopefully it'll be that way. And I trust it'll be that way. And so what I'm saying is that I made that choice. I'm not going to blame myself for it. Listen, the questions of responsibility, I'm going to go through those questions of responsibility, and it's in the responsibility page, and it's the responsibility. We added a responsibility coaching page to the website so that you can go check out these questions. So they're in there. So if I'm going too fast, it's because I want to get into other things, but I want you to understand how it works. And there's a video in there where I take ownership, or I write where I take the ownership. So with that in mind, the first question is, how did I create it? Oh my gosh, that is the hardest question when we go through the workshop or when I go through coaching or anything like that. That is the hardest question. Like, how did I create cancer? How did I create the divorce? How did I create abuse? How did I create? Simple. No blame, no shame, no fault, no duty. It's all about, it is what it is. Well, I chose the person. It is. I was born into the family. It is. It is what it is. This is probably the easiest part, but we make it so hard because we want to be right about them being wrong. So how did I create it is the first question of taking ownership. This is how you learn how to shift from feeling victimized to feeling empowered. Feeling like I got to blame you when there's like three fingers looking back at me, where I take ownership for it. And how did I create it? I created simple. How did I create being married to my first husband? Well, I chose him. And even though I knew walking down the aisle with my dad that I wasn't ready to let go of my dad, and my dad said, I don't think I can let go, Lily. And he pushed me down the aisle with roller skates. Even though that happened, I still walked down that aisle. I still said I do. Not to blame me, but it's what happened. It is what it is. Okay. So understand that the first question is very important, that it does not embrace shame or blame, fault or duty. Okay. The second question is, now that I know how I created it, what are the gifts and lessons? Well, from that marriage, God created two beautiful children, two beautiful children. And yeah, the gifts and lessons were that, I picked someone that I knew that wasn't equally matched with me. Okay. So that's the question. How did I create it? What are the gifts and lessons? The gifts are the beautiful children that came out of the marriage. The lessons are, you know, uh, follow my intuition. When my intuition says something, follow it. Third question is, now that I know how I created it, now that I know the gifts and lessons, what's going to be different? Well, the second time around, I chose someone who was equally matched, who loved my children, and I loved his kids. We were the same faith. We had core values that were the same, and I chose. Now, was it easy to be married 30 years, almost 31 years? No, it hasn't. But it's gotten a lot of gifts and lessons, and it's taught me so much about love and where I was in my belief system about love. But what's going to be different is I picked somebody different. And by the way, another gift that I want to share is by the time I married Robert, I could not have children. But the beauty is, I inherited three more. Two we raised, four of them we raised. One decided to move in with their mother, which is fine. We love him too. But it is amazing. I love children and God gave me so many. And now we have grandchildren and great grandchildren. And, had it not gone through this way, I would have thought, he hurt me. He did this, he did that. Now, the last question number 4, when taking ownership for your life, is now that I know how I created it, the gifts and lessons, what's going to be different, how I'm going to use this experience for the greater good. Well, I'm telling you about it now. I share it with a lot of people in coaching and the importance of taking ownership for our life and saying, oh, these things just happen to me. No, they happened for me so that I can learn and grow. But when you're a victim, you get stuck in the muck. You don't want to be there. So doing the blame game benefits nobody. It really benefits nobody, especially when you think about how it's going to be affecting you and it's keeping you from the fullness of your life. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because there's so many different ways that you can shift. And in the last year, and I was going to show you this, and maybe I will show you this. And as a matter of fact, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to I'm going to edit somewhere like right here, right now. There's the picture. So you'll see the picture. It's right there. That picture is where I was with my brain. This is the why I'm so in love with neurofeedback training. This is a way that you can rewire your brain. So in that picture that you're looking at, you have my first QEEG, which you see red and yellow is the worst, and blues and dark blues are the worst. So you want to be in the gray. The goal is to be in the gray. And then in the second line, that was done like 5 months after that I started neurofeedback. And you can see how things look a little bit more gray, and a lot of the red and a lot of the alert is kind of like dwindling. And then almost to a year to the date, I had my third QEEG, and look at it now. Now, that is something I did for myself that I never thought I would benefit from. I didn't think of, how the importance of it, but I've tried it. I know my husband is going through the neurofeedback training, and I'm sure that he will give testimonial in our course that we're going to be doing. It's a worldwide webinar on April 29th on Zoom. So worldwide, anywhere in the world, and you can join us. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Now, people hear Eastern time, okay, wait a minute, that's like, 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. If you pay for your seat, if you get a ticket, and if you purchase the ticket before April 19th or 18th, you get $20 off. So it's like 30 bucks, okay, 29.95. And we're going to be giving some seats away. So you just need to text me at 407-373-5959. I'm going to be giving away 2 seats, maybe. Since it's 2.0, we'll give away 2 seats. And the people who attend this event are going to get some free gifts, some free things from Dr. John Silva. Now, the reason why I said you can, even if you can't attend, you can watch the recording later because we're recording it. Everybody will get a copy of the recording. And not only that, when you do sign up, there are discounts and all that. And you get to decide and you get to learn about neurofeedback. Is this something that will help you shift? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see. Well, it did for me. And I started beginning to notice about a month or so after I started, because I did my I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And I'm telling you, I was so calm. So everything was smooth. I was able to sleep the day before. It was like a totally different person. And here we are a year later. I've done some alpha theta training. I've done all these things. And I feel like some of the things from the accident, I lost some of my cognitive skills. And when you're doing radio and you're in the moment, you can't afford to miss a word, which happens from time to time, but not every time, right? And so I'm so passionate towards this. I asked Dr. John Silva if we could do another one so that we can all learn together. So this time, the last time he spoke about different reasons why we would have cognitive decline or a different reason why we need a little bit like depression, anxiety, all those things. And then we also talked about how you don't have to have all these things to do neurofeedback. Let's say you want to like improve, be your 2.0 and you do better at a marathon, or if you are someone who's an executive and you want to be able to handle the stress of your life. There's just so many different things that will fall into place. And by the way, you can watch all of the classes of Dr. John Silva on neurofeedback. It's in the YouTube. I don't think any of them have been deleted, but you never know. You never know. So if you have a question about neurofeedback training, we're going to be giving 2 away a week from today. So a week from today, we will be giving 2 neurofeedback. So what do you need to do? If you're listening on podcasts, if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or on whenyouneedafriend.com, you can watch live there if you don't want to be in social media. You can watch on Telegram. I don't care where you're watching. You can text me at 407-373-5959, or you can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. Just say you want to go free 99. You want to go free 99 into the Rewiring the Brain 2.0 with neurofeedback training, Rewiring the Brain with neurofeedback training 2.0 with Dr. John Silva. And you want to put your name in the winner's basket. So just make sure that you text me or email me anywhere around the world, whether you can attend or not, you can still get the recording. And if you have any questions, you can send me the questions ahead of time and I will ask it for Dr. John Silva. And all of you that attend this event will also have an opportunity to ask questions and then and get the answers from Dr. Silva. So this was one way that I was able to kind of clear the cobwebs. And even though I've done a lot of personal growth leading up to it, there's still some things we don't know that need rewiring. No different than if you have an outlet that doesn't work anymore and you call an electrician and the electrician says, "Oh, the wire burnt out. Oh, can you replace it?" Yes. There's no blame, shame, fault, or duty there. You just replace it. Thank you very much. Pay the bill and off you go. That's how we need to look at our mental health as we, our our purpose in our life is to get to that level where the ego is gone and it's more about love and essence. And I hope that as you're listening to some of these tips and how to shift and how to stop the blame game, especially when we're blaming each other for the same thing, but we're just seeing it one way instead of both ways. And so, with that in mind, there's a cost to the blame game. There's a cost to not taking ownership and giving away your power and saying, it's your fault that I am the way. It's your fault that you made me angry. It's your fault that I tripped. It's your fault. And maybe that if they put their foot down and they tripped you, maybe it is their fault. But you know what? After you get up and you discuss it with them, are you going to keep saying, he tripped me, he tripped me, he tripped me? Because that will be every time you relive that injury, your body thinks it's happening now. Remember what I told you before? Okay. So moving from the blame game and embracing and breaking free from the blame cycle or the victimization cycle will actually set you free. So self-awareness needs to happen, recognizing when you are blaming others and realize, wait a minute, sometimes we see in others who we are. So what does that say about who we are? Refrain from the narrative, move from victim to empowerment. And how we do that is taking ownership and responsibility. Those are the 4 questions. And again, no blame, no shame, no fault, nor duty. Then also the power of choice. I will choose this, even if I want to blame my parents because they got me, all screwed up in the head. I am going to do whatever it takes to rewire, to rewrite the story, rewrite the story in my head that sometimes is not real. Most of the time is not real. Oh, Susie didn't call me. She must be mad at me. Oh, I better not talk to her because she's going to be yelling at me. And is that story true? Or is this story true? Susie hasn't called. I wonder if she's okay. I wonder if something is going on in her life. Maybe I should call since I have extra time. Do you see the difference of the energy? It's rewiring how we talk to ourselves, how we think of others. Reflection exercises. You reflect on, okay, I can go down this path or I can go down this path. And I call this, and a lot of people have quoted me on this without giving me credit. I call it being an equal opportunity, what could go wrong versus what could go right. We can go down that what could go wrong circumstance, or what if I were to go and do the rewriting of, like, just go to the class, go to the webinar. I don't have to pay, 2 people won't pay anything, but I get $20 off. Maybe I could do it now. Today, I'm going to enroll in the class and I'm going to take the class and I'm going to figure out what is causing, because I can blame my parents till the cows come home. But if I actually have rewired my brain incorrectly because I've been blaming others, my brain can't logically accept that I did anything to choose the circumstances that I'm in. Again, not through blame or fault or duty, but just because this was a lesson I needed to learn. This is a lesson that had I not gone through, I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have been my better me had it not been for those circumstances. That is like evaluation, like looking at it. Journaling is good. Mindfulness and gratitude. Oh my God, gratitude. Gratitude is like kryptonite to greed, or to like everything that can go wrong. Gratitude can override any negative, like, oh, she did this to me, he did that to me, I can't believe it, but I'm grateful that things weren't worse. Why can't we say that? Why wouldn't that be a part of our mindfulness, our awareness, our emotional intelligence? You know, I'm going to say this, and this is not good, but the emotional intelligence in the world today needs some rebuilding needs, it deserves for all of us to say, what's my emotional IQ? Am I saying, like talking about people's back and if somebody tells you something that's private and confidential, oh, don't tell anybody, but this is the secret I have for you. Stop that. Stop that. That is being out of integrity. Just understand that confidentiality is so important. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was about 20 years old. And I learned that lesson when I repeated something that someone had said confidentially. I wasn't a coach or anything like that. I was a kid, 20 years old. Well, maybe I was 20 when I heard it and 24, 25, or when I let it out. No excuse. That was in the vault, stays in the vault. But if you feel like the only way you're important is if you bring information to somebody, not good, not good. You're just hurting yourself. It's being lack of integrity, not good. So I want to encourage you to do some evaluation of your emotional intelligence. Forgiveness, letting go of the resentments of yourself and others, that is so important. Again, gratitude that it could have been worse, gratitude that you're still alive, and that you have an opportunity to rewrite your story. And then personal accountability, setting goals and taking small steps, which is a lot of coaching that we do. And you got to make those steps kind of actionable. And for every goal, you may have 3 action steps. And those are all things that we discuss when we do coaching or when we do our workshops. So, does this make sense to you? Does it make sense that to take ownership, to take responsibility is not weakness, it is strength. And not only is it strong, and by the way, the story I told you about this person I was talking to, the next day they were able to resolve the issue because they were willing to humble themselves and not stay in the ego and say, hey, even if you didn't want to say you're sorry, I handled my behavior was improper. Right there. If you can't say, I'm sorry, they knew that they acted the wrong way. They were able to say it because they were into their essence. Can you imagine walking away from that situation, what their life would have been like had they not returned to mop it up and say, you know what, I did. I acted like a jerk too, you know? And then the other person may not say anything, and that's okay too, because you can't control their behavior. You can only control yours. Because you're blaming them for the same thing that you're offended by, that you're doing to them. So you're in choice. So I was grateful and very proud of the person that decided to mop it up and say, you know what, I did behave improperly. And that takes courage. And I watched a movie one time where it says it only takes 20 seconds of courage to take the first step. I have 20 seconds. Just do it. Do that 20 seconds. Take that first step. Be courageous. Decide that you want to join the Rewiring the Brain. Decide that you want to join me in the I Am the Solution, workshop, the virtual workshop that we do. That's how you take ownership and you say, you know what? I'm miserable. I'm miserable blaming everybody else. Why am I miserable? Because you are giving away your power. You think that you're powerful because you're the victim and that you're holding on to the victimization, but it's weakening you. It's putting your body in a diseased state of welcoming disease in your body. So why not just take ownership and responsibility? Because that leads to empowerment and freedom, I promise you. Even though if it's a little uncomfortable to begin with, it's okay because then that uncomfortable feeling becomes part of your comfort zone. And now you can do it every time. And you might even overcorrect and say, oh, I'm sorry, I did that. I'm sorry. And it's easier for you to say, I'm sorry. But most importantly, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for whatever it is that you've been trying to give away, and just take it and say, you know what? I know I was a victim back then, but I'm a victim no more. They're not abusing me anymore. I'm abusing me. How can I stop this in my mind? Again, rewiring the brain with neurofeedback training 2.0. Just come and learn and grow with us. If you decide you don't want to do it, at least you grab some pearls. I'm going to be I'm going to be talking for a little bit. Dr. Silva is going to be talking for a little bit, and we're going to be able to ask questions. And that is worth, you know, you're going to be paying less than a dinner to be able to learn more about yourself so that you can start this journey of healing and taking your power back. This is what we talk about in the classroom. We talk about empowerment and you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. Responsibility is the one word that you will take in this classroom. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe, like and follow me on all social media. Share this video, especially if maybe you have some friends that you would like to do this with. I tell you what, I'm going to do something. If you bring someone, like if you invite a friend, I'm just thinking this, I'm going to have to come up with a coupon code. But if you decide that you want to bring a friend, we'll do 2 for 1. How about we do a 2 for 1 deal? So you split it, the two of you split it. So if you're at $49.95, you split $49.95. If you have, $29.95, you split $29.95. And the two of you can come. And so I'll do that. How about that? I'm feeling generous. I'm going to take ownership for it because you know what? Of all the things, and you saw this, you saw the image, And as I'm sharing this with you, I want you to understand that I didn't understand how powerful neurofeedback was until I started feeling differently. I started handling things a little different. Not that I had a lot to tweak, I mind you, because I've done a lot of work, but you don't ever stop doing the work. The moment I say to you, I am done learning and growing, put a chalk line around me because I am dead. I've taken my final breath and it is time to move on to whatever life comes after that. So I want to encourage you to not only like and follow me on all social media, but also share this video, write your questions, send me your questions to lily@whenyouneedafriend.com or text me your questions. That way I'm not looking at social media for questions because there's a lot. There's BitChute, there's Instagram, there's Telegram, there's YouTube and Facebook. So that's a lot of places to try to find your questions. But if you just direct them to me, or if you have any questions about the event on April 29th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time, and again, we're going to be recording it. You are with Dr. John Silva. You are welcome to ask me any questions if you want to join us. And if financials are I can even split $29.95 with somebody, then say you want to, that free 99, you want to put your name in the winner's basket, and a week from today I will pull 2 names out. Let me write this down. 2 names. Okay, and then I'm going to write down half price. I wasn't planning on this, so you're the first ones to hear about it. Okay, so then I want to encourage you to support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom at whenyouneedafriend.com. You can check them out. Go to my Shop Now bag. And in my Shop Now bag, you will find Lily approved products. And I'm telling you, these are products that some of them are affiliate that help with a little bit of a percentage towards the classroom, or they're just that I love them and I just want you to know about them, and I get nothing from them. So go to the Shop Now bag and see if there's any way that you can help the classroom grow. That's a way that you can do that. Also, we have the mark your calendar for November 1st. We're going to do the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit for cancer and autoimmune disease. And so write your calendar down. Once the landing page is up, I will let you know that you can start getting your tickets because I love a good deal, so there will always be discounts when we first get started. Then, last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month. And when I say $1, I really mean we're good with that. Or $1,000 a month, or one-time donation, or recurring donation, whatever the case might be. It could be your time, your talent, your treasure. Sharing this video is a way that you can help the classroom grow. And so please share the video and share it and write emojis like do your love, send the love, because when you do that, it affects the algorithms. So we need to get out there because we're still being shadow banned, even though um, Zuckerberg said that they're not doing it anymore. I'm still in that. I'm still being shadow banned. So help me help the classroom grow. Now, what else is there to say? What else is there to say about this? I want to encourage you to rewrite the story. Had it not been for my first husband, I wouldn't have known how to love myself the way I do today. Had it not been for my first husband, I wouldn't have had the children that now my current husband is the father of, because my husband adopted my children. And if I could adopt Robert's children or mine too, I would do it in a heartbeat. But their situation is different than my children, biological children. But they're all my kids. Understand that. I'm just differentiating them so that you understand who I'm talking about. So blaming leads to victimization. Blaming leads to getting stuck. And if you want to get stuck in that world, then I don't know what I could say next other than let's look at what we want. We want to release blame, and that leads to empowerment and success. So if you're wondering why you're not being successful at what you want, then you've got to go back to the belief system, the lie in the middle of your belief system. What is it that I really believe about my success? Do I deserve it? Do I not deserve it? These are just questions of awareness. Man, you should journal about this too. Stories of transformation who have broken free are endless for me. It's so as a matter of fact, I just pulled out some videos of some testimonials of just learning some of these truths and how it impacted each one. So we're in the process of updating the website. And so you're going to be seeing a new website soon, so stay tuned. And in there, we're going to have some testimonials from a talk that I gave, of just these simple things and how it was. So I want to challenge you to identify one thing in your life that you wish could be different. Whether it's, I want to be a better athlete, a better mom, a better executive. I want to figure out how to get rid of, how to work around ADHD and get rid of it, dyslexia, anxiety, depression. I want to improve my cognitive skills. It doesn't matter what it is that you're looking for. I am challenging you to one thing that you would like to improve in your life. If there's nothing you want to improve in your life, how do you know that things couldn't go better if you knew something new? How do you know you don't know something when you don't know something? You find out what you don't know. And you can say, I embrace it or I don't. And that's why I want to invite you to the Rewiring the Brain with Neurofeedback Training 2.0 with Dr. John Silva. And again, I am just going to right now, or maybe I'll end the class today with the image and leave it on there for a little bit longer. For those of you who are listening on podcasts and not watching, we'll have I'll post the picture somehow so that you can see it too. You don't have to go through watching the video. I just post it below, maybe include it in the image as well. So blaming others, you gotta make it you gotta make that something that you will no longer tolerate. This is something that I need to end in my life. And let me tell you, I was a victim, and I am a born again victim no more. And that was many years of my life. I blamed so many things, but I also had that positive side that I could say, oh my, because I believe in God. God works things out for the greater good. It could have been worse. I'm just grateful that it didn't go worse. And I have that mindset. But when somebody would hurt me, at first I would kind of relive it in my head. And I had to tell this person and this person, this person, not knowing that every time I told the story, I was re-injuring myself. So what story do you get to rewrite? As a result of telling yourself the story or the childhood traumas or whatever's going in your life, what has that made you feel about yourself? How has that rewired your brain to hitting the wrong neuron, going and firing off the wrong synapses? We don't know what we don't know. So join us on April 29th. Join us on that day. It's a Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Again, we're going to be recording. This is a worldwide webinar. Last time we had someone from England, and I'm hoping she'll join us. And by the way, if you joined us last time and you joined us in the previous one, I'm going to give you also a free ticket. So you got to claim it though. You got to, if you say I was in your last Rewiring the Brain, and I went to Dr. Silva and I'm doing neurofeedback, you get to come for free. So just let me know who you are, that you're doing neurofeedback or you did neurofeedback, and we'll get you a free ticket. We'll put you in the front of the line with a free ticket. But two of you, remember, we're giving away two free tickets. So text me or email me at Lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. Text me at 407-373-5959 and reclaim your life again. Victim no more. Stop the blaming, because we all are at fault. We all do things that we're not very proud of. So let's have some grace and let's continue being kind to one another. And remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.